She teased, "Stop being jealous. What's wrong with dating my coworkers? They all have a chance with me." I didn't laugh or raise my voice. I just stared, realizing my wife was speaking as if vows were a joke. Then I said calmly, "Okay, I'll file for divorce." Her smile snapped off. The phone in her hand stopped mid-scroll, and panic replaced confidence. "No," she blurted. "You misunderstood." I nodded once. "I understood perfectly," I replied. "I'm divorcing you." That's the moment people imagine first, but it was only the last tile in a long, quiet collapse. Let me start at the beginning. Back when I believed love meant endurance, and that if I kept building life, it would hold. Back when I thought jealousy was my flaw, not a warning. My name is Evan Hale, and I run Hale Electric in Cedar Ridge, Pennsylvania, the kind of town where people wave. I fix breaker panels, wire kitchens, keep diners lit through snowstorms. My wife, Tessa, works in HR for a medical supplier, an office full of badges, calendars, and team bonding that somehow never included spouses. We've been married 12 years, no kids, just a mortgage and a dog that loved us both. In the early years she admired my steadiness. I admired her drive. Somewhere along the way, my steadiness became predictable, and her drive became distance. She started treating home like a charging station. Plug in, refill, unplug. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself success has seasons. I didn't notice the season changing without me quietly. It started with names I didn't recognize, dropped into conversation like harmless seasoning. Brad from logistics, Nico in compliance, Jared who was funny. She came home energized, talking fast, dressing sharper, buying heels that clicked on our hardwood. Then the schedule shifted, late policy reviews, weekend trainings, happy hours that stretched past midnight. When I asked why she wasn't hungry, she said she'd already eaten with the team. When I asked why her eyes were bright, she said caffeine. She began locking her phone screen the moment I entered a room, then acting offended when I noticed. One night her blazer carried cologne that wasn't mine. Another morning she showered twice before breakfast. I didn't accuse her. I just quietly collected the wrong details and tried to pretend they were nothing. I tried the gentle route first. I suggested dinner with phones down. Just us, the way we used to do on Sundays. She agreed, then forgot, then arrived late and irritated, as if my invitation was another demand on her time. I asked if something was wrong. She rolled her eyes and called me dramatic. "You're imagining things," she said, and kissed me, like sealing an envelope. After that, she handled my concern the way her HR department handled complaints. Minimize, redirect, document nothing. If I reached for her hand, she said she was tired. If I asked about her day, she gave summaries. A man can tolerate distance, but not contempt. Contempt is a door that closes from the inside. Still, I told myself it was stress, not betrayal. The turning point wasn't jealousy. It was arithmetic. Our joint card showed dinners I didn't attend, ride shares at ours, and a hotel deposit labeled conference rate on a weekend she claimed was team building. I started documenting like I mapped circuits, dates, times, screenshots, receipts. Not to punish her, I told myself, but to stop feeling crazy. One Tuesday I drove past her office at 8 p.m. The building was dark and her car wasn't in the garage. 20 minutes later I found it outside a bistro downtown. Through the window I saw Tessa leaning forward, laughing, her fingers on a man's wrist. He wore a coat and a smile that said he belonged. They weren't discussing policies. They were rehearsing a life without me, and they were good at it. When she came home that night, she spoke before I could. "Long day," she said, dropping keys like punctuation. She smelled of perfume layered over cologne, and her lipstick was a shade she never wore for me. I asked one question, "How was the office?" She didn't blink. Chaos. Everyone stayed late. The lie arrived too smoothly. The next morning I called an attorney, Marilyn Cho, who'd helped a tradesman in town keep his shop intact. Marilyn listened, then said, "Do nothing dramatic. Do everything deliberate." So I separated my business accounts, redirected deposits, copied statements, and photographed every suspicious charge. I didn't drain anything. I just stopped bleeding. While Tessa planned her next work event, I built a quiet exit. One invoice, one folder, one locked drawer at a time. A week later, over noodles, I asked, "Are you seeing someone?" She laughed like I'd accused her of stealing pens. "Stop being jealous," she said. "What's wrong with dating my coworkers? They all have a chance with me." She delivered it like a punchline, waiting for my apology. Instead I set my chopsticks down and kept my voice level. "Okay," I said. "I'll file for divorce." Her amusement evaporated. "No, Evan, you misunderstood," she insisted, reaching for wrist. I pulled my hand back. "I understood perfectly. You just said out loud what you've been doing quietly." She started talking fast. Loneliness, stress, jokes, not serious, just flirting. I listened until she ran out of air. Then I stood. "Marilyn will contact you," I said. "From now on, we do this in writing." I moved out while she was on a retreat. I took my tools, licenses, client files, and the few photos that still felt true. I left the house furnished and her things untouched. Proof I wasn't fleeing responsibility, only lies. On the counter I left the keys and a note. "Date whoever you want. I'm choosing peace." She returned to an empty home and tried to control the narrative with frantic calls and emails. But Cedar Ridge is small. People notice who works, who pays, who keeps their word. Marilyn filed first, clean and precise, and the receipt spoke louder than Tessa's excuses. Her message read, "You misunderstood." I answered once. "No, I understood." Then I went back to wiring houses, fixing what I could, and letting the rest stay broken.